Good morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the topic change in state of matter. The content we are going to see is interconversion of state of matter, melting point, fusion state, latent heat of vaporization, boiling point, latent heat of fusion and sublimation. Before going to the topic, interconversion of state of matter, we know what is matter, right? Matter is anything that is having shape and occupies some space, which is having some mass and occupying some space is called matter. There are three different states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gas. Now today we are going to see whether this state of matter can be interconverted from one form to another. That is what we are going to see today. First, interconversion of state of matter. The phenomenon of change of matter from one state to another state and back to original state by altering the condition of temperature and pressure is called interconversion of state of matter. The process by which one state of matter is converted into another form and that same state is converted back to its original form by applying pressure or temperature, then that process is called interconversion of state of matter. By applying pressure or temperature, when we are changing the state of the matter from one to another and bringing back to its original state, then that process is called interconversion of state of matter. First, based upon the effect of temperature and pressure, matter can be changed from its one state to another. First, we will see based upon temperature how the change of state of matter takes place. First, effects of temperature. First, we are going to see about melting point. When the temperature is increased, the kinetic energy of the particles also increases. Kinetic energy means the energy possessed by the moving object. A stage is reached when the solid melts and become liquid at the atmosphere pressure is called its melting point. So imagine we are having a glass full of ice cubes and we are keeping it there. After sometimes what will happen when we are keeping it in the open space, after sometimes it will be converting into liquid, right? So the stage at which the point at which the solid melts and become liquid with only atmospheric pressure, then that stage is called the melting point of that substance. When solid liquid converts into liquid at one stage, and that stage is called the melting point of the liquid. By increasing the temperature, the kinetic energy of the particles also increased. A stage is reached when the solid melts and become liquid at atmosphere pressure, and it is called the objects or the substance melting point. The melting point of ice is 273 Kelvin. The process of melting, that is change of solid state into liquid state, is also known as fusion. The melting point of ice is 273 Kelvin. When we are measuring the temperature in the Kelvin, the melting point of ice is 273 Kelvin. When it is converted into degree Celsius, at 0 degree Celsius, ice melts into liquid. So the process of melting solid into, when ice cubes is converted into liquid state, when it is melting into liquid state, that process is called fusion. The process of melting, that is change of state of solid state into liquid state, is known as fusion. Next we are going to see about latent heat. So see here, when we are keeping some ice cube but we are not applying any rise in temperature, when we are just keeping that ice in a glass with atmosphere heat only, it is getting converted into liquid, right? So the amount of heat required to change the state of matter from one state to another without rise in temperature is known as latent heat. With some heat, atmospheric heat, the atmosphere will be having some heat, and with that heat the state of matter is changing from one form to another form without rise in temperature, then that state is known as latent heat. The amount of heat required to change the state of matter from one state to another state without rise in temperature is known as latent heat. Now we are going to see what is latent heat of vaporization. The amount of heat required to change the state of matter from solid to liquid without rise in temperature is known as latent heat of vaporization. When the solid state is converted into liquid state without rise in temperature only due to the heat produced by the atmosphere, then that state is known as latent heat of vaporization. That heat applied is called latent heat of vaporization. The amount of heat required to change the state of matter from solid to liquid without rise in its temperature, without rising the temperature when the solid is converted into liquid, with the some amount of heat will be required for that, and that is known as latent heat of vaporization. Now, boiling point. Imagine in a beaker we are having some water, and when we are applying heat, what will happen? It will be getting vaporized, right? So, the constant temperature at which liquid rapidly changes into gaseous state by absorbing the heat energy at the atmospheric pressure is called its boiling point. So, the temperature at which the liquid is rapidly converted into gaseous state. At one temperature, the liquid will be rapidly converted into gaseous state, and that temperature is called the boiling point. So, the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. When the water is at 100 degrees Celsius, what will happen? It will start converting from liquid state to solid, gaseous state. So, when solid ice cube is getting melted to liquid, then it is called melting point. And when liquid state of water is converted into gaseous state, at the point at which liquid is converted into gaseous state is its boiling point, and the point at which solid get melts to liquid is called its melting point. The melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius and the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. Now we will see what is latent heat of fusion. The amount of heat required to change the state of matter from liquid to gaseous state without rise in temperature at its boiling point is known as latent heat of fusion. So see here, we know what is latent heat, right? The amount of heat required to change the state of matter without rise in temperature. Without rising temperature, some heat will be required to change the state of matter, and that state is known as latent heat. And we have seen latent heat of vaporization, that is when solid is converted into liquid. Some amount of heat will be required without rising temperature. That is latent heat of vaporization. Now, latent heat of fusion is when matter is getting converted from liquid state to gaseous state without rise in temperature only due to the heat applied by the atmosphere. Then that heat is called latent heat of fusion. Okay. Now we are going to the next topic, that is sublimation. Imagine one wash glass is having a mixture of ammonium chloride and salt. Our sodium chloride and ammonium chloride is there, but I want ammonium chloride. For that I have to separate ammonium chloride and sodium chloride. So I am taking a china dish, and in that I am placing this mixture, and above that one inverted funnel is kept, and the funnel is closed with some cotton plug, and now I am heating that mixture. So what will happen means, this mixture will be getting heated and vaporized, and this vapor will be settling at the side of the funnel, and at one stage this gas will be converted, this vapor will be converted into this solid. So, and it will be getting settled in the sides of the funnel. That is, the ammonium chloride will be getting solidified at the sides of the funnel. So, the process of conversion of solid directly to gas or vice versa without changing into liquid state. As we know, when we are boiling solid, first it will be getting converted into liquid, then to gas. So, the process in which solid is directly converted into gaseous state or gas is directly converted into solid state without changing into liquid state, then that process is called sublimation. The process of conversion of solid directly to gaseous or vice versa without changing into liquid state is called sublimation. The process in which solid is directly converted into gas or gas is directly converted into solid without entering into the liquid state is called sublimation. Now, this much is effect of pressure. How effect of pressure affect the change of state of matter. Now, we are going to see how pressure affect the change of state of matter. Imagine one ice is there. When ice is kept for some time, it is solid state, right? Ice is in solid state, and when it is kept for some time, what will happen? It will be getting converted into liquid, right? So, when solid is ice is converted into liquid water, then it is called melting, and ice is getting melted. So, now when we are heating this, what will happen? This liquid will be getting vaporized. So, that process is liquid into gas is called evaporation. And when the gas is directly converted into solid, then that process is called sublimation. Now, imagine that gas is there, water. When we are heating water, what will it be getting vaporized? And when we are closing it with the lid, after sometimes we can see that at the top of the lid some water droplets with there, right? So, there gas is getting converted into liquid state, and that process is called condensation. Now, imagine I am keeping some water in the fridge. So, sometimes what will happen? It will be getting freezed to ice, right? So, process in which liquid is converted into solid is freezing. So, when solid is converted into liquid, it is melting, and when liquid is converted into vapor, it is evaporation, and when gas is converted into solid, it is sublimation. Vice versa, when solid is converted into gases also, it is called sublimation. And when I am changing the gaseous state to liquid state, it is condensation. And when liquid is freezed, what will happen? It will be getting back into the solid, and that is freezing. So, by applying pressure, by changing pressure, matter can be converted from one state to another by different processes such as freezing, melting, evaporation, condensation and sublimation. So, today we have discussed about the interconversion of state of matter. So, the phenomenon of change of state of matter from one state to another by altering either temperature or pressure is called interconversion of state of matter. First, we have seen the effect of temperature. In that, we have seen what is melting point, right? Melting point is just a point at which solid is converted into liquid. The melting point of ice is 0 degree Celsius. Then we have seen about latent heat. Latent heat is something that is without rising temperature, when the state of matter is converted from one form to another, with the some amount of heat will be required for that, and that heat is called latent heat. In that, we have seen about latent heat of vaporization. The amount of heat required to change the state of matter from solid to liquid without rise in its temperature is called latent heat of vaporization. And next, we have seen about boiling point. When we are heating that liquid, what will happen? It will be getting converted into gaseous state. The point at which liquid is converted into gaseous state is called boiling point. The boiling point of water is 100 degree Celsius. Next, we have seen the latent heat of fusion, like latent heat of vaporization, when no rise in temperature, and when liquid is converted into gases without rise in temperature, some amount of heat will be required for that, and that heat is called latent heat of fusion, latent heat of fusion. Then we have seen the process of sublimation. The sublimation is a process of conversion of solid directly to gas or gas directly to solid without entering into the liquid state is called sublimation. Then we have seen the effect of temperature pressure on changing state of matter. When solid is melt, it will become liquid, and when liquid is heated, it will be getting converted into gas by evaporation, and when gas is converted to liquid, it is condensation, and when liquid is converted to solid, it is freezing, and when gas is converted into solid or solid is converted into gas, and that process is called sublimation. Hope that all of you have understood. Thank you.